July 24th, 2020, Tropical Storm Hanna in the western Gulf of Mexico. I'm NBC 15 Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals, watching a system that has maintained a steady westward motion. And when you look at the high-resolution satellite image, a couple of things may catch your eye. It looks like somewhat drier air trying to come in on the west side of the storm. But when you see those cirrus clouds blow up and blow in the opposite direction of the circulation, it tells you the storm is maintaining its strength. So it is a medium-strength storm heading toward the Texas coast, likely making landfall as maybe a minimal hurricane on Saturday afternoon. That is Hanna. That is just one of several tropical systems that we are focusing on. The Gulf of Mexico, it's warmer than average, and that's part of the reason why, even if there is a little dry air getting into the storm, it's likely to maintain its strength. And as of late afternoon, you could just about make out the center of the circulation. It's just under 200 miles away from Corpus Christi, Texas. Now, the radars, as you can tell, they don't go much beyond 250 miles into the Gulf of Mexico, so they don't show you the big picture. However, based on what we see, the forecast, tropical storm warnings for most of the Texas coast and hurricane warnings centered around Corpus Christi for the possibility that this system could reach hurricane strength. So there's the enhanced satellite, and the bright colors show you the taller clouds. Latest information, 50-mile-an-hour winds, but likely to strengthen, moving westward at 10 miles an hour. That part is pretty consistent, and the forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center takes it inland sometime Saturday, likely as a minimal hurricane, winds of 75 miles an hour. Then the winds rapidly diminish as it goes across the Rio Grande, heading into Texas, into the mountains. And that all means that rain is going to be a big issue from the coastline into Mexico. The brightest colors you see projected here, if you look at the scale, that could be 5 to 10 inches of rain right on the coast of Texas, also heading into the mountains of Mexico. A lot of the rain you see back to the north and behind the system is not directly associated with Hanna. It's associated with the large region of low pressure that Hanna sits in. So the other tropical storm, that one is Gonzalo in the central Atlantic. The winds down to 40 miles an hour. So it's a minimal tropical storm. It may strengthen a bit as it continues to move to the west, and that means the islands of the Caribbean, places like Tobago, Grenada, they may be impacted by a weak tropical storm as this makes that westward track into the Caribbean. And look at the forecast cone. It stops basically on Monday, meaning it's not likely to last beyond then. So not all tropical systems have a full life. And watch this computer projection. You see the yellow, you see it disappear. Well, that was the core of the system. Going into Monday and Tuesday, you don't see it. You do see rain moving through the Caribbean. So it looks like Gonzalo is going to take a trend in the exact opposite direction that it grew from. In other words, it started as a tropical wave, which became a tropical disturbance, a cluster of thunderstorms that don't have circulation, and then it was an investigation before it was declared as a tropical depression and then a tropical storm. Now, all of these things up top, they happen pretty frequently. Fortunately, they're not very threatening. It's what is at the bottom that you don't want to deal with, which of course is a hurricane. So Gonzalo is now moving in the other direction. Don't be surprised to hear more and more about tropical disturbances, depressions, potential tropical cyclones. We are just about approaching the statistical peak, or going into the peak of hurricane season, which actually arrives late August, early September. So the Atlantic Ocean literally is just starting to heat up. There's the wide picture. There's Hanna in the Atlantic, is Gonzalo. Behind me is another system in the Pacific. I'll talk about that in a moment. But notice on the far right side of the picture, you see Saharan dust, which is north of a tropical disturbance. So that tells you that dust is not going to totally stop tropical systems. It can interfere with them. Expect more disturbances as we move through the season. So two systems to focus on, both of them tropical storms. And as of late this morning, both of them had the same wind speed, but look at the difference in size. The size is like a coat that you wear. It doesn't tell you what's beneath the coat. What matters with the tropical storm or hurricane is what's beneath the coat. So this one, Gonzalo, fairly small. Hanna was medium to large size. Both of them equal strength in terms of wind. So now go out to the Pacific Ocean, and that should grab your eye. That is a hurricane, almost perfectly circular, telling you it's a very strong hurricane, and you can make out the eye. At the same time, you see the Hawaiian Islands on the left side of the screen. That is Hurricane Douglas. It is a Category 3 hurricane as of late afternoon. Winds of 115 miles an hour. And notice the direction that it's moving, west-northwest. That means the Hawaiian Islands are at least in a straight line in front of it, and it's going to move almost in a straight line. But what's more important to notice here is moving into Saturday, winds projected to diminish to about 90 miles an hour. By Sunday, as it gets really close to the islands, if not directly impacting them, winds projected at about 75 miles an hour. So even though it's a Category 3 now, and it definitely has to be watched, it doesn't mean it's going to maintain that strength. Now in my NBC 15 area, this is our big issue, rip currents due to a strong southeast wind and due to an unsettled Gulf of Mexico. My location keeps the rain that's going to be more than typical moving through our weekend and into early next week. Not directly from Tropical Storm Hanna, but from the system that is creating Tropical Storm Hanna. And across the north central Gulf Coast, temperatures below average, rain coverage above average going into the middle of the upcoming week. It's hurricane season. Keep up, stay updated, watch what's going on, and stay informed. I'm NBC 15 Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals.